What is poppin', everybody? I'm having a great day. I woke up in a good mood. I got a good night's sleep. Things are going good so far today. Fingers crossed nobody screws that up for me. So I had something happen last night, and I really want to share it. So I'm hanging out, and a lady with a young girl comes up, and she asked me a couple questions, whatever, and the little girl is like hiding behind her mom, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, kind of like just tucked back, and I'm like, you don't have to be afraid. Law enforcement are good people. You don't need to be scared of law enforcement. Fine. So I engaged with the little girl and talked to her for a few minutes. Just explained to her, she was probably 6 or 7 years old, and just it reassured her and explained to her. And come to find out, you know, that they lived in a bad neighborhood and cops were always around, and you know, they lived in the hood. They were African American, and you know, it's just that little girl had a bad persona of law enforcement, and I hate that. It drives me nuts. So I turned a negative into a positive, because this little girl was scared to death of me. There's no reason to be, right? She's obviously had some bad things happen to her. She's been around police, and you know, maybe she's seen a loved one get arrested or taken down, or you know, something stupid happened, right? So I turned a negative into a positive. I engaged with this kid, and it made me happy, because by the end of the conversation, the little girl was talking to me. She was joking around with me. We were high-fiving each other. I gave her some stickers, and I made that little girl's night. And to be honest, that little girl made my night. And I can't stress that enough. Like, I know I talk about it a lot, but it's because it happens a lot. And it drives me nuts. There is zero reason kids should be afraid of law enforcement. There's just no reason for it. You know, I mean, obviously, if you're a preteen or a teen and you're doing something wrong, then you're doing something wrong, and you're going to get what's coming to you, right? So there's scenarios where it comes into play where, yeah, I guess it's good. But when you're talking about little kids that can't do no wrong yet because they're still learning, you know, the worst thing they may do is have a temper tantrum or hit somebody in school or at daycare or something, and they don't realize what they're doing is wrong, because they may be coming from an abusive home, and they see mom beating up on dad, dad beating up on mom, older brother and sisters fighting with their boyfriends. Whatever the case is, the point of this is always that, and I know I'm beating a dead horse. I talk about it a lot because it's important to me. Kids are sponges. They are so influenceable. And to be able to put a positive aspect to law enforcement to that little girl made me happy. Now, is that going to continue throughout the rest of her life? Maybe, maybe not. You know, I don't know. But right now, I know that little girl had a good experience with a law enforcement officer, and she had a positive experience. It was a good one. And I know that could carry on through her life. She may have already forgotten about it. She may have woke up this morning and been like, where did I get this sticker? Where did this badge come from? You know, maybe not. I don't know, right? But I know last night I made her night, and to be honest, she made my night, because she was as cool as could be. She talked a lot like little kids do. I think she embarrassed mom a little bit, but it happens, you know. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I don't judge, right? Okay? I have my opinions on things. I stand pretty firm on a lot of my opinions on things. One thing I do is I will, you know, they're carrying around a Louis Vuitton bag or Michael Kors bag, or they got the newest iPhone or the newest Apple Watch, and they're paying with a link card. That upsets me a little bit. Seeing parents with nicer clothes than their kids, that upsets me a little bit. But I'm not going to judge somebody based on that, right? I can have my opinion on it. I'm not going to judge somebody on what they can afford or what they can't afford. I truly feel like kids should come first. They should be your priority in life. If your kid doesn't have new shoes, you shouldn't have new shoes. If you're wearing brand new Jordans and your kid's wearing, you know, 3-year-old $10 Walmart shoes. The soles are worn off on them. They got holes in them. Something's wrong with that picture. And if you don't think so, then you're the problem. Simple as that. You know, I mean, people who have big families, it's a commitment, right? So if you plan it, if you want a big family and have a lot of kids and you're planning that, then you need to make sure you can afford it, right? I mean, I see some people walking around with families, and I look at the guy and I'm like, this guy couldn't pull out of a driveway. I mean, this is ridiculous, you know. I mean, he's got like 6 kids and they all look ratty. Their clothes are disgusting. Their shoes are nasty. And, you know, the parents sometimes in that scenario don't look the greatest either. And, you know, I guess I can't really judge based on that, but I just feel like men need to be responsible, you know. I talked about this in my class the other night. It's not always on the woman to be on birth control. Men need to be responsible as well. You know, if you're gonna lay with a woman, and I'm trying to make this G-rated as possible to stay within the guidelines of YouTube. If you're gonna lay with a woman, you need to be responsible, right? You need to make sure that if it's gonna rain, you put on a raincoat, right? Or you pull the car out of the driveway or out of the garage, you know, before it starts raining. Simple as that, right? So it's not always on the woman to be on birth control. It's not always a woman's responsibility. Men need to be responsible for their actions, right? For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction, or whatever that saying is, that quote is. You know, and they need to step up and be a man about it. All too often, I see single moms, and it drives me nuts, you know? It's like men just go out and they have a one-night stand, and then whatever happens, happens, and then they never go back to it. And I hate that. I can't stand deadbeat dads. I mean, I'm in a spot now in life where I can't act on my emotions, but, I mean, I can, but I would lose a lot. I would lose my job, I would lose everything I've worked for, and it's not worth it. Do I want to sometimes? Absolutely. If you have a child, you pay for that child, you take care of that child, you make sure that child has what it needs, plain and simple. It's as easy as that. So, you know, back to my main point is like that little girl that I encountered last night has been through a lot. She's only 6 or 7 years old. I mean, she's telling me stories that, you know, the cops were at her apartment building every single night. You know, I mean, I can read between the lines. They obviously lived in the projects, in the hood, right? So, for that girl only being 6 or 7 years old and having that kind of an encounter with law enforcement and telling me that the police were at her house almost every single night, yelling and taking people off to jail in handcuffs, and, you know, I mean, I'm not paraphrasing, this isn't verbatim, but this, again, I'm reading between the lines, the conversation that I had with this little girl. You know, obviously she doesn't know the things that happened, but she told me that they took some of her mom's friends and, you know, they took other people away. Well, I know what that means. They were arrested, right? Anyway, so men need to be in their kids' life, and they need to be responsible. And if you plan on having kids, be responsible and own up to that. And take responsibility for your kids. Be there for them. Make sure they have what they need. And Jesus, I can't stress this enough, make sure your kids are looking better than you if you're going out in public. If you have brand new shoes and your kid don't, something is wrong. And I can't stress that enough. Them kids need to be taken care of. Simple as that. If you can't afford to have kids, then if you can't afford to have a child, you can't afford to have sex, period. Because that's what's going to end up happening. Because 99% of the time, if you can't afford a kid, you can't afford contraceptives. So, just stop. Or, again, back the car out of the garage before it rains. If you're picking up what I'm putting down. Just be responsible, guys. It's as simple as that. I don't know. I turned a negative into a positive last night, and that made me really happy. I wanted to share that with you guys. And I kind of went off on this whole other tangent about guys being responsible, because in my class the other night, we talked about things like that. And, you know, men always thinking it's the woman's responsibility to be on birth control, or, you know, go and get the morning after pill for 50 or 60 bucks or whatever it costs nowadays, and or heaven forbid, a woman have to go and do the worst thing possible and have an abortion because she laid with a man and they weren't responsible enough. It just drives me nuts. The world is overpopulated as it is, and there's a huge amount of that population that is irresponsible, and I hate it. Can't stand it. Yes, I'm telling you how I really feel, because that little girl didn't have a father figure in her life, and I could just tell. And kids are they're super influenceable. They're sponges. I don't know how else to explain it. And their perception of everybody around them in the world is going to be based off of their parents, mom, dad, brother, sister, grandpa, whatever the case may be. But as they start getting older, they can start forming their own opinion, and they can decide what path they want to go down. And whether that be following in their parents' footsteps, and if they're criminals, then I hope that they have an encounter with somebody in law enforcement, or somebody that is can be a positive influence on them, and a positive role model to pull them away from that. So anyways, in closing on this, I explained to that little girl, make sure you listen to your mom, make sure you do what your mom tells you, stay out of trouble, keep your hands to yourself, and if you see law enforcement, say hi to them. There's no reason to be afraid of them. Go up and talk to them. 99% of us carry stickers of some form to hand out to the kids. Always willing to give out high fives, talk to the kids, engage with them, engage with the parents. It's really important. Simple as that. Anyways, that's my thoughts today. I personally try to make a positive impact on everybody's life that I meet. Everybody I meet, I try to make a positive impact on their life. Whether it's for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, an hour, whatever the case. That little girl may never remember me again. May never run into that little girl again. But if I could make a positive impact on her for that 10-15 minute conversation that I had with her last night, that's good enough for me. And I'm happy about that. So keep in mind, just always, always, always try to make a positive influence on somebody's life. And yeah, it may be a little weird for just some random person to walk up to somebody and start talking to a kid. Now, that's one thing that I tend to have a problem with, that I found, is when I'm not in uniform and I start talking to people, they look at me like I'm crazy, like, why are you talking to me? So I guess it's a little different when you're in uniform, right? Because it's kind of part of what you do. Kids, don't approach somebody else's kid if you're not in uniform, because that may turn out bad for you. Just depending on the parents. I know I'd probably be a little sketched out if some random guy came up and started talking to my daughter. But anyways, just stay positive, be positive, be great, do great things. Everybody have a great day. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, share away. Chubbyguycustomz on Instagram, customs with a Z at the end. Hillbilly Outdoors 2 to follow my fishing content on Instagram. Redbeard on Snapchat. Different content for different sites. I'm trying to keep it broad content to where it's not one thing. People get burned out and bored. This summer, can't stress enough, fishing videos, motorcycles, boats, car shows, anything and everything. It's going to be an awesome summer. The content is going to be there. I have bonfires and riding days with my boys at my farm. I have a track out back. We ride the four-wheelers and dirt bikes. We go to the track, the motocross track, sometimes in the summer. I got buddies that are into off-roading, jeeping. We're going to do some stuff like that. Car shows, hot rods. It's going to be an awesome summer. Stay tuned, guys. Subscribe. Hit the bell notification button so you get notifications when I post new videos. Comment. Let me know if you like the content. If there's something you want me to do, Let me know. Tell me what you want, and I will try to do it if I have the means to do it. Have a great day, guys. Stay great, be great, do great things, stay positive, be a positive influence in somebody's life. I'm out.